CyberHub bunker and studio. You're tuning in to the CyberHub podcast. And now for your host and CISO, James Azar.
Hey everyone, good morning. Happy Monday, August 9th, 2021. Thank you all for being with us this beautiful, lovely morning. For all of those that are coming from Clubhouse directly here, thank you so much. I am on Clubhouse every single morning on the other side of Cyber Club from 8 a.m. to about 8:50, 8:55. You can go to Clubhouse, look up the other side of cyber. You can catch me and my awesome co-host JJ there as we talk about all things around the other side of cyber. We're live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Good morning to everyone tuning in. Good morning to Matt. Good morning to David. Good morning to Michael as well. And morning again to Matt. John, good morning to you. And Emery, good morning and keeping up to date. Thank you for being here. Good sir. If you have not subscribed or followed the CyberHub podcast channel on your favorite podcast listening platform, please do so now. Give us a 5-star rating there while you're at it, and make sure to follow us on your favorite social media network. We'll be posting a lot of really cool content coming up very, very shortly as we get those pages a bit more active beyond just the live streams. So we'll have that. Today's show is supported by our friends over at someone changed stuff around in my StreamYard. So our show supported by Know Before and Ativo Networks. Thank you so much for your support. Go and check them out. You can see more about them in the show notes. Every single story I'm talking about today is available in our show notes, so go and check that out as well. Good morning to Nick, and thank you for being here, good sir. Let's get right into today's podcast and our news. But before we do that, our coffee cup cheers, folks. My regular double espresso, whatever you're drinking this morning, make it yours. Enjoy it, sip on it. If it's morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you may be, whatever it is that your beverage of choice is at this moment, we say coffee cup cheers, but to all of you, whatever that is, cheers. All right, lots to talk about. Let's start tackling the issues as they come along. First of all, Microsoft Exchange servers are being scanned for a ProxyShell vulnerability, and everyone's being asked to patch now. So here's what's important to understand. Last week, Black Hat DEF CON. Typically, during Black Hat and DEF CON, there's a lot of vulnerabilities that are disclosed. Some stuff that we've known ahead of time, some stuff that some people don't disclose and just unanimously disclose it in a paper that they want to share at the event in order to increase their chances of getting a speaking slot, or whatever the case may be. What we do know, because if you've been listening to the show and you've been watching stuff that goes on, the moment a vulnerability is in place, between an hour to 24 hours, there's already threat actors actively scanning for that vulnerability. Well, this one is no different. ProxyShell is the name of 3 vulnerabilities that perform unauthenticated remote code execution on Microsoft Exchange servers when chained together. These chained vulnerabilities are exploited remotely through the Microsoft Exchange Client Access Service running on port 443 in IIS. We've been reporting over the last several weeks on the IIS vulnerabilities. Now we know that these 3 CVEs, 2021-34473, 2021-34523, and 2021-31207, combined together can bring about a significant attack. Now, here's the thing about all these 3 vulnerabilities. They all have patches. CVE 2021, which is a pre-authorization path confusion leads to ACL bypass, was patched in April. The CVE 2021-34523, an elevation of privileges on Exchange PowerShell backend, was patched also in April. And CVE 2021-31207, post-authorization arbitrary file write leads to RCE, was patched in May. All of these vulnerabilities were discovered by DevCore principal security researchers Orange Tasai, whose team received a $200,000 prize for their use in April's Pawn to Own hacking contest. On Thursday, Orange Tasai gave a Black Hat talk about the recent Exchange vulnerabilities, and he discovered when targeting the Microsoft Exchange Client Access Service attack surface. For his part, he talked about the ProxyShell attack chain that targets the Microsoft Exchange Auto Discover service. Attackers are actively scanning for vulnerable Exchange servers at the moment, and the patches are in place. So I'm going to scroll back up. I'm going to leave these 3 CVEs on the screen. Please get these patched. Please, please, please get these patched. If they're on your list and they just weren't done, get them done now. People are actively scanning for it. Don't let yourself be a victim. Our next story is around VMware, who on Thursday also released security updates for multiple products to address a pair of security bugs, one serious enough to give attackers access to sensitive information. Again, port 443 could tamper with host headers to facilitate access to the CVG web app. In addition, a malicious actor could access the CVG diagnostic endpoints without authentication. Strike the CVE 2021 CV 2021-22002, CVSS score of 8.6. The issue exists because VMware Workspace One Access and Identity Manager allow access to the CFG web app and diagnostic endpoint via port 443 with the use of a custom header. The endpoint would normally be accessible on port 8443. In addition to Workspace One Access and Identity Manager, VMware products such as vRealize Automation, Cloud Foundation, and Suite Lifecycle Managers are all affected. Again, patch is out. Go and get those patched if you're on this version of VMware. And our third story for today is the Windows PetitPotam vulnerability gets an unofficial free patch. If you don't know what PetitPotam is, it's an attack vector that forces Windows machines to authenticate against threat actors, malicious and TLM relay servers using Microsoft Encrypting File System Remote Protocol, which was disclosed last month by security researcher Gilles Lionel. Using this attack method, threat actors can completely take over Windows domains, allowing them to push new group policies and deploy malware on all endpoint. There's a whole bunch of that. The O-Patch micro-patching service today released a free unofficial patch that can be used to block the PetitPotam NTLM relay attacks on the following Windows versions: Windows Server 2019, Windows Server 2016, Windows Servers 2012 R2, and Windows Servers 2018 R2. No micro-patch was issued for Windows Servers 2012 non-R2 or Windows Servers 2018 non-R2 and Windows Servers 2003. Because based on O-Patch's analysis, these releases are not impacted by PetitPotam. To install the micro patch, just get an O-Patch account and then install the O-Patch agent, and that'll take care of that. This is an unofficial patch, not approved by Microsoft, but it's something to have there as well. Let's talk about Pulse Secure, because what month do we not talk about Pulse Secure? Here we go, folks. Another urgent update for poorly patched critical Flaw. So Pulse Secure just continues to just chase their own tails in their effort to provide some sort of VPN service. So Pulse Secure shipped a fix for the critical post-authentication remote code execution vulnerability in its Connect secure virtual private network appliances to address an incomplete patch for an actively exploited flaw it previously resolved in October of 2020. The Pulse Secure appliance suffers from an uncontrolled archive extraction vulnerability, which allows an attacker to overwrite arbitrary files, resulting in remote code execution as root, according to Richard Warren of the NCC Group. This vulnerability is a bypass of the patch for CVE 2020-8260. So here's the thing. These guys not only have a flawed product, they also have flawed patches. At what point do we just say thank you, but no thank you? Significantly, they've now released a new patch, and I hope that this one fixes the other one, because, God, if I have to report another one of these, I am going to go crazy. Matt Lee says, Pulse cheeses like Swiss cheese. Yeah, indeed. Good, sir. Michael says there's a suggestion that suggests victimhood has a significant correlation catalyst with the victim. And James McQuiggan says, happy Monday and coffee cup. Cheers, good sir. Amal says, cheers, thank you so much. Appreciate that. So Pulse Secure, if you're still using it, I'd reconsider your choices in life. at this point, I can typically, and I'm always willing to defend someone as they make a mistake. But I've said it before, and I'll say it again for those tuning in for the first time. Pulse Secure has been on the tail end of these all the time. All the time. And at some point, we have to say, there's something flawed in the way you run your company. Thank you so much. I'll pass. Someone has to really consider that. Our final story today is around Apple. A lot of you have heard the announcement. Some of us have mixed feelings about it, myself included. So the overall cause is good. Apple is reviving the encryption debate to look and scan iPhones for child exploitation. Apple's announcement is that it would scan encrypted messages for evidence of child sexual abuse, has revived debate on online encryption and privacy, raising fears that the same technology could be used for government surveillance. How do you feel about Apple doing this? There's the word I was looking for. It's a moral paradox. In one end, we all would love to see nothing but pedophiles rotting in jail for their pedophilia because it's immoral. At the same time, we all love and appreciate our privacy. So at what point and where does that line get drawn? And the company said that it's limited access to the violating images, which would be flagged to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, which is a nonprofit, meaning this isn't that technically going to law enforcement. It's going to the NCMEC, and then they are in turn investigating this and then possibly taking it to law enforcement. The CERTA tool can be a boon for finding child pornography in people's phones, but imagine what it could do in the hands of an authoritarian government, said Matthew Green, a cryptographer at Johns Hopkins. There's going to be enormous pressure on Apple from governments around the world to expand this capability to detect other kinds of bad content. Think when they talk about terrorism. That's a very popular word across all governments today. Whenever someone doesn't serve the interest or objects to the government, they automatically become terrorists. There's some real there's some real aspects to that, and that's according to Matt Blaze, a Georgetown University computer scientist and a leader in many cybersecurity circles. I don't know how I feel about this. We'll launch a debate on this on Clubhouse later this week. I'm trying to get a little bit more educated on it. I've read some of the stuff on it. I haven't read the whole thing, and I want to be a little bit more informed before I actually state. It's a moral paradox, as Matt Lee just said it. It's something that I absolutely support because anyone who sexually exploits little children should be thrown in jail and had the key thrown away and stay there. But it's definitely something significant around privacy. And if it ends up in the wrong hands, as we all know, technology does eventually end up in the wrong hands. Something else. David Byrne asks, is it in line with the EULA regarding content and user behavior, the end user agreement? I don't know. I have to check that. I don't know that they have. I don't know that they can update their end. I'm sure that they can update their end user agreement and do this. Very, very significant. Matt says, I wonder if a threat actor wanted to target an individual, couldn't inject a hash. Yeah. Inject a hash if you want to frame someone, just, download stuff on their phone. Bunch of different things. Nick here says, definitely a thin line. Those who are not doing anything illegal or inappropriate on their devices are subject to this, which infringes on privacy, yet would be useful in working to catch those who perpetrate such acts. Apple's doing something here, and there's an aspect to this that's very, very interesting. I, like you all, am very torn about this, and we'll see what happens. We'll do a Clubhouse room. I'll announce it here. So if you're not following me on LinkedIn, please do so now. If you're watching us on Facebook or YouTube, go to LinkedIn, James J. Azar, connect with me there. You can see it in the show notes as well. And I'll be announcing a Clubhouse room, and we'll talk about this in a lot more detail. Folks, that's it for our practitioner brief today. Thank you so much for coming and joining me on the show this morning. I wish you all had a great weekend. I wish you a wonderful week ahead. May you find some peace and some happiness this week. We'll be back again here tomorrow at 9 a.m. with another practitioner brief. Until then, folks, stay cyber safe.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.